Hello everyone, Marine here for Learn Fun. Thank you so much for joining me on this new video. I made this lovely interactive baby card a few weeks ago for the spring release. And you know when I tell you to look back at your previous cards to find inspiration in them? Well, this is what we are going to do today. Take this design as an inspiration with the spring basket as the centerpiece and change everything around it to create a completely different scene. And to create today's card, we are going to need the spring basket stem set. Hey there for the fence, horse, cow, chick and baby chick and a greeting. The Kangarific add-on for the grass. The farm critters from Simply Celebrate More Critters. We have the reveal wheel die set with the square add-on. The second stitched small circle stackable die, the largest stitched rectangle stackable die, the smallest simple wavy banner die, the scripty congrats die, two papers from the Bitsy Blooms 6x6 paper pack, and another one from the Spiffy Speckles 6x6 paper pack. I stamped all the images on Neenah Solar White cardstock using Learn Fun Gel Black ink. As always, I cut them using the matching dies. And I am going to color everything with my Ohuhu markers and my graphite brush markers. So the images are done, and I added highlights and details to them with a white gel pen. Now we can start working on our reveal wheel background. I am going to cut a reveal wheel square panel out of this beautiful Bitsy Blooms paper. And I want the basket to be on the lower part of my scene. So I am going to place the spring basket drop-down template on the notch. There is washi tape to keep it in place. And I am going to tuck the spring basket drop-down die right up against the curvy edge of the template, just like so. I am gently lifting up the top of the reveal wheel die to remove the drop-down template. So this is what we end up with. Off screen, I cut a partial section of another reveal wheel square panel out of another Bitsy Blooms paper. This will make the sky, and the fences will serve as dividers between the sky and the grass. And I want those fences to go right about there, so I am going to make a pencil mark on that spot and trim my piece of paper right on that pencil mark. And again, the cut doesn't have to be fancy since it will be covered by the fences anyway. So I glued that piece of paper at the top of my grass panel, and I also cut more pieces off screen. We have another reveal wheel square panel with no opening, and it will go at the back of our main panel, just like that. We have two wheels, and we are going to cut a circle frame out of the yellow one just in a second. I used a die from the reveal wheel die set to cut this small circle. I picked a mini brad from my stash, and I will use the reveal wheel spring basket drop-down template to place everything properly in the basket. So let's start with the wheels. I am going to tape the circle die right in the middle of the yellow wheel and send it to my die cutting machine. And we end up with a scallop circle frame that we are going to stick to the Spiffy Speckles green wheel using liquid glue. Now it's time to stick the 3 spring basket pieces to the wheel. And to make sure I am doing it correctly, I am going to tape the drop-down template to the wheel. And I am going to stick an image inside each window, the eggs first, next the baby chicks, and then the tulips. I am lifting the template to attach the image to the wheel, and I am going clockwise to stick the others. Now we can remove the template. We are going to put the mini brad into the small circle and then into the wheel, just like so. Open the brad to keep both pieces together, and we are going to add 2 mm foam squares at the back of the wheel, right on the small circle. I am going to remove the backing papers of the foam squares and place the wheel behind the reveal wheel panel. And I am lining up both the inside of the basket with the opening and the scalloped edge of the wheel with the notch. I am going to place the panel on top of the craft panel and stick the wheel to that panel. Now we need more 2 mm foam squares around the wheel, making sure that nothing touches the wheel. And we are going to attach our reveal wheel panel, and the basic shape of our interactive card is all done. I cut a 4 by 4 inches square panel out of algae cardstock, and I am going to stick my reveal wheel panel to it using liquid glue. And then we are moving on to my favorite part of the video. We are going to attach all the images to the panel. As very often, I am using 1 mm and 2 mm foam squares mostly to stick everything. And to give the illusion of one single long fence, I am going to trim the edges of the middle ones and line up the 4 fences. So now that the reveal wheel scene is complete, I am going to stick the panel right at the top of a 5.5 by 4.25 inches wood grain panel. And next I am going to work on the greeting. I cut the scripty congrats out of craft cardstock and out of chocolate bar cardstock. And I am going to line them up just like that to get a nice border. For the second part of the greeting, I cut a simple wavy banner out of sunflower cardstock and placed the banner back into its negative space. I placed the stamp diagonally on the banner, and I am going to play with both ends of the stamp, curving them a little bit more or a little bit less until the stamp follows the shape of the banner. So it looks good to me. I am going to treat the banner with powder. This will help the embossing powder to stick to the embossing ink only. I am using Fawn clear embossing ink to stamp my greeting. Next, I am going to sprinkle white embossing powder on the banner, and then we can use our heat gun to melt and set the powder. Now back to the card, I am going to stick our scripty congrats right below the reveal wheel panel using 2mm foam squares. I also cut the arrow out of chocolate bar cardstock, and I am going to stick it next to the wheel. And finally, I am going to attach the banner below congrats using 1mm foam squares. I am going to off-center it and tuck it behind the G and the S. And I think we are done. I just added highlights to the scripty congrats to match with the images, but other than that, our interactive baby card is complete and I think it's super cute. A lovely baby celebration at the farm. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have an amazing day and see you next time. Bye!